What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over the brand new OTA and September 14th update. There are some cards that have been changed, some that have been buffed, some that have been nerfed, and altogether it's going to feel pretty interesting. Some are pretty expected and some are not, and we're going to just go ahead and get into them. And then I'm going to give you my live reaction to basically what is going on. So we're going to start it off with the collector. Basically he's going from a 2-2 to a 2-0. The collector essentially has been pretty much a prominent card in basically every Loki. You're almost going to see him played on turn 2 every single game in the current meta. And I do remember at one point the collector was one of the best cards during the beta. So it's kind of tough to see this, but he is now going to be a 2-0. To be honest, the 2 power difference, I don't know how much of a change it's really going to be, considering that he is hitting into the 18 range to 20 something power range with a lot of the way a lot of the meta is going. But it does seem like they are definitely noticing it. Kudos to Second Dinner for making a change really quickly on this, and just getting that right out there and just kind of addressing it. So kudos for them. Shadow King is going to be getting a pretty amazing buff. I'm actually so happy to see this because this is, I mean, he was already becoming great with the current meta, especially against cards like Collector and against cards like Shuri. You're seeing a lot of people playing these decks right now, and Cerebro 3 has been on the come up, and he's going to be getting a buff. He's going to be going from a 3-3 to a 2-3. And basically they address it here. Recently when they made the change from Luke Cage and Invisible Woman, basically they kind of want to give that kind of fame and, like, you know, strength like they did to those cards to Shadow King. They want to make it so that it's going to help people even want to try to use him even more outside of other decks. So I think this is cool. It's going to be very interesting though, because a 2-3 does sound kind of, I mean, a 3-3, Shadow King was already on the come up, but now you're able to put him in Surfer decks more confidently and more, like, you know, just having a lot more, you know, affordability. So this is going to be a very, very good change. I will personally be trying to do Surfer decks again, as they're one of my favorite, probably my all-time most played decks on my channel. Surfer now having a 2-3 is pretty damn good in all consideration. So that should be pretty fun. Alrighty, so now we're going to get into Lady Sif. Lady Sif is going to be getting a slight buff. Now, it's pretty interesting because the card already did really well, but I guess they want to just give it a little bit of a notch up even more. I'm not really understanding it why, but they basically say here that Lady Sif is one of those cards that's always been solid and had a home in specific decks. Most obviously Apocalypse, Hela, and Agatha. However, her individual performance hasn't been stellar, and when the linchpin card for so many decks isn't doing well, we like to poke at it a bit. So I guess they're kind of just throwing things in the fire and seeing what burns, seeing what doesn't catch fire. So I guess that makes sense. We don't feel this will upend the metagame or anything, but pushing some medium performance decks towards some time in under the sun is one of those things we like to do via OTAs. So let's try it out here. So I guess they're just going to give her a 3-5, and they're just going to they're just giving her a buff. Why not? Sure, I'm cool with that. She actually already did feel really good. To be honest, I already kind of felt like she was a 3-5 to begin with. If someone would have asked me, I would have said she was a 3-5, and I would have been wrong. So with that, I guess that's a cool step in the right direction. So now we're going to get into a very, very interesting card. We are now going to have Spider-Ham reverted back to a 1 cost. Spider-Ham is getting a slight buff to his cost. I guess after they changed him from, you know, from the last OTA, they basically made him go from hitting the highest card in a deck to the leftmost card in a deck. So it'll be interesting to see this, because this may be a lot easier now to put back in bounce decks. So maybe we might see the rise of bounce decks again. So I would be very interested to see what this is going to do. But yeah, basically, they're saying we suspected the change in the last week's patch might be damaging Spider-Ham's usage, but we weren't sure. Probably something like 65% sure, but that's a fair amount of doubt. Given we had an OTA coming just 1 week later, we decided to launch a patch with his 2/2 stats. Then buff to 1/1 if that week indicated he needed the help. It did, so here we are. So okay, I'm cool with that. You know, if it hits a Loki right now, I mean, I actually have been using Loki like a madman, and to be honest, it's just working for me. I'm enjoying the game and I'm enjoying the card. I anticipate they're gonna nerf the card, and I'm not going to cry if it gets touched, which it will, because I mean, everyone in their right grandma knows that it's coming. But you know, Spider-Ham is really helpful against cards like that. I mean, he definitely can knock out something pretty strong right now in those decks. So, you know, having that on turn 1 is gonna be really helpful. And so we're gonna go ahead and get into Black Cat. Black Cat is gonna be getting kind of a buff, and to be honest, it's pretty interesting. Black Cat is going from a 3/7 to a 4/9. She is now going to be a card you can Zabu, and it just has a better stat line. So, wow, like, I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to work, because, to be honest, now I kind of feel like I'm inclined to put it in more decks and use maybe like Ghost Rider and stuff like that. I mean, a 2 power difference is a pretty good difference. I mean, a 9 cost card is kind of just a 10 cost card when you think about it. It's really not that much far away from a 10 powered card. So I guess they were saying Black Cat's been one of our weaker performing cards for a long time. That might not be something we can fix with an OTA, but we've played with this version enough ourselves to at least be interested in seeing what developers, especially a couple featured card forthcoming. Yes, this makes you more likely to discard her than play her. But the only decks interested in Black Cat were already assuming you'd be doing that, and increasing her power makes that a better perk. And the number 9 is especially for the feline feminine fatal. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with that. Honestly, you didn't really play her to begin with, because by the time you would usually draw her, she would just get discarded, or not good enough stat line. You just didn't really want to play her. There's other cards better. So to be honest, a 9, sure, she's gonna get on the field anyways, right? Give her more power. I mean, it's really not that bad. So, all right, that being said, guys, this was fun. I'm going to be doing this again in the next couple of weeks when they do more updates. If you guys can, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It helps me out so much, and my channel has been flourishing lately, so I really, really want to say thank you. If you guys can, please, let's get this video to like 20 likes. That would be superb. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.